So we're going to play a game called Curiosity. And if you never want to have a boring conversation again, then this is a great game for you. And the way that this game works is basically I'm going to ask you questions for like 7 to 10 minutes or so. You can pass if you're not interested in answering a question. At the end of the question, of you answering it, I'm going to say thank you.
Okay.
And then we'll move to the next question. And then at the end of the round, I'm going to share with you my first impression of you was I felt most connected to you when, and what I think I really get about you now is. Make sense?
Yeah. Can you answer the questions? Can they be follow-up questions to my answers or no?
They can be.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. You ready?
Sure.
I'm curious, how do you imagine a close friend of yours would describe you?
A close friend would describe me as like energetic and talkative. I value communication. I spend a lot of time rock climbing. They think I'm curious and a good listener. I ask good questions. And yeah, I guess that's my answer.
Thank you. I'm curious, what do you think is my worst quality and my best quality?
That's a whole question. Your best and your worst quality?
Yeah.
I think your ability to reflect and be a really supportive, active listener and offer empathy is my favorite quality about you, so I'd say your best. And your worst quality is that you often don't ask for support or show vulnerability with your friends.
Thank you. I'm curious if you were like about to get into a new relationship and you had a warning label, what would that say?
I don't like dogs. No.
Very Asheville warning label.
My warning label. I am a 1 on the Enneagram, so I have like high standards and my perfectionism can come out, and I have a tendency to often focus on what's wrong versus what's right. So I think that can make, like my high expectations or high standards can be kind of challenging to navigate for myself and others.
Thank you. I'm curious, if you had a psychic in front of you, what 2 or 3 questions would you want to ask them?
I tell people about this question since it's in your connection cards, but then every single time I forget what my answers are because I feel like I had good answers. I think one answer is like related to like if there is a certain purpose, like, or what gifts and purpose am I meant to have? I would like to know more about that. Can I come back to this question?
Sure.
Okay, it's
Thank
always
you.
hard for me.
I'm curious, what would be the most uncomfortable thing for me to ask you?
It's funny, I was just thinking about what you could ask me and how it would be about like how I'm feeling in this moment. And I noticed that I'm feeling like I feel anxious. So a question that would explore that, I think. I don't know exactly what that question would be, but...
Would you tell me what you notice inside yourself?
No.
Feelings, self-talk, stories, thoughts, judgments in this moment with me right now?
I'm afraid I'm going to do it wrong. I'm ashamed of my embarrassment to be on video. So I like notice that I'm feeling awkward, and then I'm like, don't feel awkward about that. And then I'm like, oh... I'm just judging myself for that. I think I like really want to do a good job, and like I feel like I have like this idea of like what this should be. So I'm noticing and thinking a lot about that. Just like feeling a lot of like anxiety in my chest. A little lighter than when I first got here, since we were able to talk more about stuff. But I definitely feel that anxiety.
Thank you. I'm curious if you had a friend that would like do an impression of you. Like something common that you might say or share or do? Like what do you imagine they would say?
I know that I say makes sense a lot, so I probably would say makes sense, or they would say makes sense. Um, that's the biggest thing that I can think of. I'm sure there's other things, but that's what I can think of.
I can see that. I'm curious, like, what's one of the most edgiest or riskiest things that you've ever done? And what's something really risky that you'd like to do?
Risky. Actually, when I was in Puerto Rico, I met this. I don't remember what European country it is, but it starts with a D. He's Danish, or not. He offered me Coke, and I did Coke with him.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I felt edgy, and probably was dangerous. I didn't know him. And something risky I'd like to do. I think I would like to travel more, and I view like risk more in like now as like vulnerability, like, and so doing things that scare me, not necessarily only traveling, but which would be like, I think I'm like very afraid of like dancing in a lot of ways. Maybe just getting more in touch with like what scares me and like doing it even if it feels scary, but it's more like scary in like a vulnerable way, not in an actual risky way. So, but I also think that like requires me to like trust strangers more, which I do. Yeah, I think that I would like to do that more. Does that make sense?
Thank you. I'm curious, like, what would you like to be seen about in your life that you feel like you're not particularly seen about?
I mean, we kind of talking about this with my mom, and I think I've maybe told you this before, but just like how much I try. Like, I think I have a lot of shame around my perfectionism, but it's like coming from a place of like I want to do it right and well for people, not just for me. So,
Yeah.
like, and also like I struggle sometimes to acknowledge when I make a mistake because it's so hard for me because like I'm trying so hard. So I think if I get seen for like the effort I put in, it's a lot easier for me to acknowledge when it maybe didn't land for them.
Thank you. I'm curious, is there someone in your life that you feel like really sees your effort?
I guess Leah, my twin, or Leo. Yeah. And they like know to name it because I told them that it feels helpful when they do, and they like put a lot of effort into doing that. And that feels really good. Yeah. I kind of forgot about that because we haven't talked as much recently, but yeah.
I feel curious if you have like a big dream or aspiration for like the future of your life.
Oh, I don't like that question.
Can I pass on that one?
I think it's just more, it like feels so much more complicated than it used to. And I've been like struggling with that and trying to figure out what that means to me. Like it feels very unclear. So maybe I don't like that I don't have an answer.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. I think that's my answer.
I'm curious, what are like 3 things that you feel most grateful for in your life?
I think I feel really grateful for my body and my health. I feel like I'm really able to like use my body and live my life in a way that I want to because of my body, and I guess like gratitude for myself for like learning how to take care of it. I feel grateful for like the people in my life that offer me a lot of support and like mutuality in our relationships, and like without that support it's just really hard to do things on your own, and I have a lot of people in my life that support me. And I feel, I don't know, like curiosity, or grateful for my curiosity in my brain, I guess, and just that like I feel like I get to experience the world more deeply because of that. And so that's, yeah, I've been struggling with gratitude recently, so I've been trying to think about things I like about myself or like about my life.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have another answer to the answer I'd ask the psychic.
Yeah, please.
What is something that, like, I'm really curious about my shadow, but I haven't done a lot of official shadow work. But I think is like, what would be one thing that if I put energy into improving, like, would have a significant positive impact? Like, what is one thing that I really struggle with that I really should invest in working through?
I like that question. I'm curious, what are like 2 to 3 things that are really alive in your life right now?
I've been car shopping or dealing with car stuff, so I just have noticed I've been putting a lot of thought and energy into that, and thinking about like, what does home mean to me, or like, because I've always lived in a home or a house, and so living out of my vehicle and like how I relate to my home has kind of been on my mind because of that. And I've also been really trying to reflect on my time in Nashville and like why I feel this sense of needing to leave. But that's been on my mind of like, what is about Asheville and what's coming up, and why do I feel restless here? And why does it feel different here than it used to? Like, I have a lot of gratitude for this place, but I've been thinking a lot about here in Asheville and what am I supposed to be doing? And then my conflict with my mom and my family has obviously been on my heart a lot. And I feel like it's impacting me every day. Like, it kind of feels like I can't show up fully for life because I kind of have this like part of myself that's like hiding or protecting myself. So then I feel I don't feel as present, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for answering questions. So now I'll share the connection questions. My first impression of you. My first impression of you.
Like my whole
Yeah.
our whole friendship, not just like
Right,
now.
right,
Okay,
yeah. So my first impression of you, kind of like mixed between what I heard from Dylan, and then also like from meeting you. It's like, I feel like Dylan talked about you being like almost like a relationship expert. Like he's like, oh, I always come to her with questions and
yeah.
get support and that sort of thing. So there was a part of me that was like, maybe I knew you were into psychology and had that idea, but you seemed like pretty high energy, a little bit anxious, and like you have high integrity. Which, knowing you're a 1 now makes a lot of sense. Yeah, just warm and caring. You want to do the right thing. You care about that. And I felt most connected to you during your share when you talked about wanting to be seen for your effort, and like how meaningful, how important that is to you, and just how tender you feel around it. Yeah, and I think that's also something that I learned about you, that you want to be seen. That feels important, like acknowledged for the ways that you're really trying to show up in the world, and that also that your sister is someone who does that for you.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. In this moment, can you tell me what feelings you are currently feeling, or maybe stories that you have around connecting games, doing these connection games with me?
I feel like mostly pretty calm. Yeah, I'm curious what you're gonna ask me. I guess there's a part of me that's like, oh, are my questions gonna be valuable enough? Like the things that were like coming from me, yeah, gonna demonstrate this game and this practice in a way that's helpful. I'm grateful you're doing this with me, even though it like feels kind of awkward, and I'm also grateful because when I make videos and I'm just talking to the camera, I feel way different than when
Yeah.
I'm talking to a person.
Yeah.
And it feels so much easier to just like be myself. Yeah. Feel a lot of gratitude. Yeah, I think that's mostly it.
Thank you. How do you feel about, like, do you prefer being the person that asks the questions, or how do you feel about receiving questions?
Generally, I feel like a lot more ease asking questions, but I played Hot Seat the other day and I noticed that I enjoyed hearing myself speak more than them to some degree. Hopefully, they're not watching this. Maybe they will at some point. But I was just enjoying people asking me questions and sharing about what was alive for me. I'm not saying that was my experience with you, but yeah, I don't know. It put me in this energy of like having a desire to share a little bit more.
I'm curious. Earlier when we were talking and you were sharing about, like, is it okay to talk about what we talked about earlier?
I don't know.
Well, you can edit it out if you
Go
want
ahead.
to.
Yeah.
And like talking about vulnerability, I'm curious. You shared a little about what stories come up for you, but would you be willing to share more about, like, in that moment, what was coming up around, like, how you felt about being vulnerable with me?
With you or in general?
Maybe with me.
With you. I don't remember exactly what you're saying, but I think, yeah, I was noticing that you were talking about something that brought up sadness for me. And I don't think it's you specific, but I was just noticing myself not allowing myself to be as vulnerable as I would authentically be.
Yeah.
And so maybe the story I have is, oh, if I'm too vulnerable, then you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to feel like you have to caretake me, that sort of thing. Because you receive empathy from me in a way that feels nourishing. Now you're going to feel pressure, like, oh, I better show up in a good way.
Yeah.
And, I think I have a lot of fear of like people feeling obligated. Yeah, and then there's also part of me that feels like a sense of trust, and it might just be like not you specific, but it's just, yeah, just hard to feel comfort being vulnerable in general.
Thank you. In romantic relationships, what are 3 ways in which you feel like you show up really well?
I mean, I think that I'm phenomenal with listening. So if somebody's going through something challenging, like presencing myself to what's going on inside their heart, if we're in a conflict, not always. Sometimes I'm also triggered and I have a harder time. But I do think that I can, sort of hear what's going on for the other person and try to communicate my needs in a clear way. So I think that's one way that I show up well. I think I anticipate the other person's needs really well. If they mention something, I kind of remember and, try to, I don't know, offer them things that might feel supportive. And you probably haven't seen this side of me, but I think I'm really hilarious when I'm in a partnership. I just am super goofy, and I think I bring that energy out, and yeah, it's funny as hell.
I love that. Thank you. What are 3 areas to which you feel like you need to improve in romantic relationship? Or any relationship, but maybe if you feel like it's romantic dependent.
Okay. Asking for support. Yeah, I think that people would enjoy offering support more than I ask for it, and it feels more reciprocal, and like it would probably help them to feel more comfortable asking for support. I think like with my siblings, like probably reaching out a little bit more. Like I think both my brother and my sister, like my brother's been reaching out to me more recently since he visited here, which has been feeling really nice. We've been like texting and, you know, discussing shows we're watching together and that sort of thing, which feels really nice. But I don't really call my brother and sister that often, or reach out to them. And so I think that's another way that I could improve. I think one thing that I could do more that I used to do, but I haven't really done as much in a while, is solicit feedback. You know, like, what do you imagine would make our relationship more satisfying for you? And then I can also give that feedback. Like, you know, if I want to talk about things a little bit more relationally and less like informationally, sometimes that helps me feel closer to people.
Yeah.
Or find out, you know, what is it that I'm doing that's challenging, and how can I be a better, you know, friend or sibling or partner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What would be, you think, one thing that your current partner would say that they really appreciate about you and the relationship?
I think my current partner would say that she appreciates like my grounded energy and my presence and the way that I listen to what's alive for her, and like, I think the amount of acceptance that I offer her for like her range of feelings and thoughts and even judgments that come up. I think she really appreciates, especially the acceptance around all that.
Thank you. What is, like, as a child, what is something that you wanted, like a dream or a hope that you wanted for yourself as you got older?
It's a good question. I honestly just wanted stability and security. You know, like I feel like my home was very not stable, and you know, I just, yeah, I wanted a sense of stability and security, I guess. Yeah.
Do you feel like you have, thank you. Do you feel like you have stability and security today?
I think I have a lot more stability as an adult that has like control over my life. I feel like I was moving towards having a lot of security, and then the economy just like went downhill.
Yeah.
So I'm still sort of working towards that. Certainly more than as a child. Yeah. Not quite what I imagined. Like I thought, you know, like, I don't know, maybe I'd have some government job or like
Yeah.
work for the electric company that like offers this thing, but I mean, that's what I wanted as a child, I guess. That felt really important. It still kind of feels important, but I think what's more important now is like authenticity and inspiration. And sometimes it's hard to have all of the authenticity, inspiration, security, and stability. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm still moving towards it.
Thank you. If you could ask 2 to 3 questions to a psychic, what 2 to 3 questions would you ask?
I'm curious if I have soul contracts that I like. My soul is like, I want to grow in these particular ways when coming to this earth. What are they, and how can I work towards fulfilling them? I'm also curious, like, what work would be most satisfying for me. There are things that I'm really passionate about, but I'm like, is this what's most satisfying for me? And also, you know, yeah, going to work for me in a, you know, financial, economic way. So I'd love to get more clarity around that. And then I'm curious to know, like, is there like a partner, soulmate person that, you know, I'm either with already or I'm looking to be with?
Yeah.
Like, I think getting that answer would be interesting as well.
Thank you. You made me think of my other question I'd ask. Can I share it?
Yeah.
I would want to ask, is there like religion or spirituality that I'm not familiar with that I should explore that would like help evolve my own spirituality more deeply?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I think that's all the questions I have for you that
Cool.
I can think of.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So do I share the things now?
Yeah.
Okay. Will you remind me what they are?
My first impression of you was.
Oh, yeah. My first impression of you was also Dylan. Well, actually, when Dylan shared about you, he talked about how y'all just like sit on the couch and smoke weed. So I think I had this like impression of you of just being this like, I don't know, this guy who is just like a stoner, I guess. Like, but then Dylan also did a really poor job of explaining NBC to me and like just gave me this worksheet. And so I didn't really understand, but he like kept saying that he thought I would get along really well with you, and I felt really confused by that. But then when we spent time together, I guess my first impression was like I still didn't know a lot about you, and I didn't understand fully what Dylan was sharing. So like I thought you were really thoughtful and like very calming and intentional. But I think my picture of you was like skewed by my understanding of Dylan. And then as I got to know you more, I was like kind of intimidated by you and like your communication skills, which we talked about before. But I also like could tell that you were like a very, like I felt like I could like trust you, or like a very caring person that I wanted to like get to know more, but I felt very intimidated by you. Yeah. What's the next question?
I felt most connected to you when, or like maybe what stood out the most in your share was.
Well, first I can actually answer the last one.
Okay, yeah.
Because that
what I think
feels
I
most alive,
learned about you.
Well, what I learned about you, and I think maybe it's the same answer, but I also want to reflect a little more. I felt most connected when you shared that you think you're fun, like that you were very funny and silly in a relationship. I liked how you like kind of lit up and also like kind of like got playful as you shared. So I didn't really like fully know that about you, and I also like really enjoyed that you shared that. Like as also being like, you didn't really see the side of me, but like. I enjoyed that, but I feel like I get that at work sometimes. We like are kind of sassy with each other, so I do like that. There was also something else here. Oh, I really liked when you shared about when you were like a little boy and that like you want security and just like reflecting on that, and I could kind of like feel that you were just like thinking about yourself like now versus then, and that also felt connecting to experience that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks for playing with me.
Yeah. You're welcome.
That's curiosity. If you have awesome, curious questions that you'd like to share with me, please add that in the comments. And please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much for joining us.
I loved it. That was great.
Thanks for doing that.
How do you think of these questions? Like, if people want to play this game at home, do you have a list for them? Or
I have lists.
You have lists?
I have like 10 questions that I usually give to people that are like, have a hard time thinking of questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought of them over time by playing games and thinking of people that I'm curious about. I notice your tenderness, and I'm curious if you want to continue or how you're feeling.
I'm fine. Like a little annoyed, but I'm fine. Also, can the video see my legs?
I don't think so.
Okay, there's a lot of legs.
No, I think it's just table down.
So not have been appropriate at church.
What should I say?
You should say that in the link in bio, if you want access to the questions that he asked or suggested questions, you just go down there, or and they're like right here on the screen. You can click this thing, and it'll give you a Word document of all those questions.
Well, I don't have any documents for anybody.
Well,
but
never mind.